Welcome to this class on Introduction to Computer Networks, and I am Raj Jain. As you already know from the emails that you received from me, I will be teaching this course, not Professor Turner. And I have taught this course for the last 4 or 5 years actually. This would have been first time Professor Turner was going to teach, but he is unable to, so I am going to teach it. And so today's lecture, first lecture, is basically why you want to study about computer networking, or why you should study computer networking. Then we talk about what is the goal of this course, and grading, contents, and the tentative schedule for what we are going to cover and when. So first of all, networking. So networking is like plumbing. If you live in a house where there is no plumbing, you know what it is like. If you go to some camp or something like that, the life is not very, very good, right? But if there is a plumbing, you never know that it is there, right? And so it's like this. If you have a life without networking, you will be really painful. It will be really painful. If you go to a place where there is no internet, you will, feel, already missing a lot of stuff. But if it is there, you never notice that how much you are getting from the internet. So today everything is networking based. Whatever you are doing in computing, whether it is databases, computing, storage, robotics, whatever you are doing, everything is based upon networking. All right. So the networking is the key to everything that is going on today, and it is not just for, actually in the next slide I will show you, it's not just what you are doing in computing. Anything you are doing in life today is based upon networking. Okay, so I will show you that. So it's a very fast growing field, and there are plenty of job opportunities. Any company that is making money is in networking business, and that includes Google, Google, Facebook, Apple, any company you name it. They are based upon mobility, mobile. For example, Apple, I said, and you say, well, Apple is not in the networking business. They are making money out of mobiles. All right, and that is networking. Okay, so that is the top field, right? HP, Cisco, obviously Intel. So today we are in the networking age. Just like we had a stone age, everything was made of stone. Iron age, everything was made of iron. Then there was automotive, electricity, telephone, jet plane. But today it is the internet age, networking age. Everything is done with an internet. If you want to go to office, you go through the internet. You don't have to go to office really. Shopping, you can do on the internet, which is what we do most of the time nowadays. Entertainment is all on the internet. Education, you want to study, you don't have to come to this class. You could be, studying it from home as well. And virtual reality will satisfy all your needs, basically. So everything is becoming virtual. Previously we used to have real, but now everything is virtual because you don't have to go there. That means everything is virtual, whether it is games, tourism, or anything else in the life, right? Including sex, right? So the thing is, that's how you need to know about networking. And so the goal of this course is first course in networking. This is the first course in networking, and so therefore we have to go through the fundamentals. And since this is actually the only course in networking in some sense, we do have 2 or 3 other courses as we'll talk about, but we don't really have the luxury of teaching you too many courses. So this covers a lot in networking. So it's a broad coverage of many key areas of networking, and so we give you the networking background for applications in other areas of computing. So basically we provide you the background, but this is a course on the architecture. So that's another thing you have to know, what is architecture. So for example, when you build a building, first thing you go to is architect, right? And what does the architect do? They give you a map of the building. They give you a piece of paper on which they say, well, here's the bathroom, here's the kitchen, this is the size and this and that, right? and you go to the architect and say, can you please build the building? They say, no, I don't do that. He just makes the map, right? For the building you have to go to a builder, and the builder knows where to find the bricks, where to find cement, where to do this and that, right? So they can put together a building. He cannot draw a map, by the way, right? So similarly, this course is a networking architecture. After taking this course, you will know what to do in a protocol, how to design a system, things like that. But maybe you would not know how to use Cisco router. Sorry about that, because for using Cisco router, you have to go to Cisco, right? But we just give you general principles of how the routers work. But if you really want to use a router, then there is a lot more commands that Cisco only can teach you. All right. On the other hand, if you go to some other company that makes the router, they will teach you their router, and then Cisco will not help you there either. So this is about architecture, not about building the network. You will be able to understand the protocols, and an example of difference between the architecture and implementation is the computer architecture course and a course on Intel Pentium chip. So many of you have taken architecture course. So you know what is a CPU, what is ALU, what is memory. But if I asked you about Pentium chip, then maybe you won't be able to know that one. Okay, there is a particular implementation that only people who have studied Pentium chip will know. So is that somewhat clear? That what is architecture and what is implementation? This is a course on networking architecture. So you will learn about networking concepts that will help you understand how the networks work. For example, all of you use HTTP. What is HTTP? Web. You always, you go to the internet and you do HTTP : something, right? So all of you use what we call hypertext transfer protocol. You use the protocol, but you don't know how it works. What happens when you hit return? What message is sent to the server? And what message comes back from the server? We will teach you that. All right? When you send an email, what happens when you send the email? How does it get there? What messages are exchanged? We will teach you that. How is the mail forwarded? What happens when the network is overloaded? Suppose too many people try to reach one place. What happens? Right? How is the messages find the best route? So when you send a message from here to Germany, how do they really find the best path? We talk about routing algorithms. What happens if there are bit errors in the messages? So sometimes the packets, you send something 101010, and there they get 1110, something like different. What do you do with that message? How do you find out that the bits changed? And then what do you do with that? What is the difference between Ethernet and Wi-Fi protocols? So does anybody know what is Ethernet? Does anybody use Ethernet? Yeah, go ahead, raise your hand.
Yeah, it's the normal plug for,
Right? If you use any networking today, you use Ethernet, right? Most of you actually. And then the next choice is, if you don't use wired Ethernet, then the next choice is Wi-Fi. Right? Wi-Fi is the wireless Ethernet. So we tell you how they work. Right? So this is the Ethernet right there, cable. This is the first course on networking, and this is the basis for all advanced courses in networking. So if you take any second course here related to networking, which is networking security, wireless networking, sensor networking, or any other networking course, you need to have taken this. 473 is the prerequisite for all those courses. Okay? And here is the list of the courses. 473 is required for 571, 573, 574, 777, and 578. And so some of you might continue on to other courses in networking, as shown here. And but this is the prerequisite for all of them. Grading. So we will have 3 exams. 2 2 midterms and 1 final. The first midterm is 30%. The second one is also 30%, but basically we take one of the two. If you are not able to make the first one because you are sick, because you are away, because of some other reason, you can take the second one. Or if you even were able to do the first one but did not do well in the exam, you can take the second one and make better. So we take the best of the two. Okay. Final exam, there is no makeups there. So basically final exam is 30%. Class participation is 5%. What is class participation? Basically, I want you to ask questions in the class. I want you to answer questions in the class. And therefore, the people who ask questions, they get class participation point. People who raise hands, people who answer my questions get class participation point. So those points are somewhat subjective in the sense that I try to remember who is asking more questions, who is present in the class, who is generally coming late, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the year, I give 5% there. Homeworks count for 20%. The labs count for 15%. And the labs require programming in C. Now it's not too much programming, but they do require a little bit of few lines of C here and there. And academic integrity is expected in homeworks. So it is important that you do not copy anybody else's homework. If we find that you copied, then our department is very, very strict about these things, and the students have to just leave the university because they were found copying on something, homework or exam or something like that. Okay, so that is very important that you just don't even try to do anything, like any funny thing, like try to get the exams or the homework from the previous students and so on and so forth. Please, you are here, you are paying to get knowledge, so get knowledge and make full use of your money, not just get a grade and no knowledge. Okay, right? Now, while I'm at this point, I just want to make sure that everybody who is sitting to the left of this line here, please next time sit on this side if possible. I'd like to see everybody in my view right here, and if you're hidden, then you're invisible. So, so I cannot see you guys here. So maybe today is okay. So don't change anything right now, but try to sit in this direction. Okay. All right. Any question about the grading? No questions? No participation? You are already losing 5%. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, good question. So actually we do not make anything cumulative. So first exam is the first 1/3, second exam is second 1/3, and third exam is third 1/3, right? However, you won't understand anything about the second 1/3 if you didn't understand the first 1/3, right? So the topics are cumulative in some sense, right? But the exams are not. Any other question? All right, homeworks. You will get one homework every class. Okay? So when you get a homework, it is due next Monday. So Monday there is a homework, it will be due next Monday. Wednesday there is a homework that will be due next Monday. So on Monday there are 2 homeworks due, at least, if not more. And all the homeworks in hard copy only, and they have to be submitted right here. We tried soft copy and there was so much confusion that we have stopped doing that. So all the homeworks will be hard copy, separate pages. So you cannot, if you are submitting 2 homeworks, just make sure that there are 2 separate homeworks, because the graders will grade homework number 1 altogether and homework number 2 altogether. So you cannot have homework number 1 on the first side of the sheet and homework number 2 on the second side of the sheet. They just can't handle that. Okay? All homeworks are due on the following Monday at the beginning of the class. All homeworks will be submitted in the class on the paper and unless otherwise indicated. Any late submission, if allowed, will always have a penalty. So, there could be some reason that you are late. Generally, we don't allow late because we discuss the answer in the class. Once I have discussed the answer, there is no point in your submitting me the answer. Right? But if for some reason we allow you late submission, because very valid reason, there will be a late penalty. Okay, so it might be 10%, 15%, depending upon how late it is. So even if your answer is 100% correct, you might get 10 times 0.85, 10 times 0.9, or whatever penalty is. Please write CSE473 in the subject field of all emails related to this course. So when you send me an email, make sure that it has in the subject field CSE473. I handle 500 to 600 emails a day, and the only way I can handle that is by the subject line. The mail gets classified by the subject line to the proper folders, and then I can read the folders at the same time. So if it has 473, I know that this is related to the course and not a spam message, which will get filed somewhere else, and so on and so forth, right? Please write CSE473 in the subject field of all emails. Write the word homework if it is related to a homework. If it is a homework number, then you write the homework number in that field. So you say homework number 3. CSE473 homework 3. All homeworks are identified by the basically numbers here. All homeworks should be on a separate sheet, and your name should be on every page. The pages get separated, and then basically we want to find out whose it is, right? And it's kind of difficult to manage it if your name is not there. Any questions about that? Clear? Go ahead.
Do you want it typed or handwritten?
Handwritten is fine, typed is fine. So, so whatever is most convenient for you. Yeah?
So we have homework on Tuesday,
on Wednesday. So this week, if I give you homework today, it will be due next Wednesday, because Monday is a holiday. But most other weeks, it is due on Monday. All right. Exams. So I already said there are 2 midterms and 1 final. All exams are 1 hour long, and they are closed book. So you are not allowed to bring the book, you are not allowed to bring the handouts or anything else in the exam. All you are allowed is 1 sheet of 8.5 by 11. Cheat sheet, 8.5 by 11, on which you can write anything, you can print anything, you can micro print anything, and if you need to, whatever you do. So 8.5 by 11, 1 sheet. And you are allowed a calculator, but it cannot be any calculator than TI-30. Now this is by university rules. University allows TI-30 calculator in the exam. Otherwise you cannot bring an Apple, laptop or anything like that, and then, then it just, kills the whole purpose, right? So, or a smartphone or anything like that. Each exams consist of numerical as well as multiple choice questions. So the exams will mostly be numerical. So you have to calculate something here and there, or answer something. But there are some questions which are multiple choice. So there are 3 choices, and you have to mark 1. Or true and false, you have to mark 1. There is a negative grading on those questions, just on those questions. So if it says which of these 3 choices is correct, if you mark the correct choice, you get a +1. If you mark the incorrect choice, then you get -1 upon n minus 1. So n equal to 3 in this case. If you mark the correct, you get +1. If you mark the one of the 2 incorrect ones, you get -half. Okay. If it is true and false questions, if you mark the correct answer, you get +1. And if you mark the incorrect answer, n equal to 2, what will happen? -1. So if you just randomly mark, 50% will be correct, 50% will be incorrect, and your grade will be 0. That is what it should be, right? If it is randomly marked. So don't randomly mark. You are safe only if you are more than 50% sure that this is the right answer. All right. Everyone, including the graduating students, so that doesn't matter really. So we don't take anything else into account except the, this, everything else is very objective. So whether you are a graduating senior or undergrad, a grad, a working person, or you're working in a company, we don't care for anything. All right. Your grade depends upon the performance of the rest of the class. And that's another thing is, I cannot tell you exactly what is for A grade. Many people say, well, if I get 80 marks, will I get an A grade? No, because it depends upon the exam. Some exams are very easy, some exams are very difficult. Sometimes the instructor like me, could be, difficult, could be easy, I don't know. But basically, so the idea is the total marks depend upon many things: instructor, the exam, the student, the weather, and so on and so forth. So what we do is we just grade the students, and that means we rank the students in the order: top 50%, bottom 50%, top 25%, like that, right? So no more than top 50% will get an A grade, and so basically you really want to be in the top 50%. Okay, and A grade means A minus, A plus. The bottom 50% means B plus, B minus, C plus, C minus, D plus, D minus, and E. And everything is all done by computer. So there is a very fixed points for grading. Okay, so your grade depends upon the performance of the rest of the class. And in every exam, we will let you know exactly what position you are in. So you will know that you are 48th and 60 or 50th and 60th, whatever numbers. Your position you will know, your rank you will know. And if you are in the bottom quartile, like bottom 25%, I would encourage you to work harder for, after the first exam so that you move up in the ranks. Okay, any question about the exam? Yeah.
So what if like the bottom person has a 90% average? Would that still be a failing?
Yeah. See, thing is, that's a very hypothetical question, because if I don't plan the exam right, it's quite possible that everybody gets it right and my 90% is the smallest, right? That would be a very bad exam, right? And actually, when I'm saying about the grading A plus and AA and minus, this is not for one exam. This is sum of all these things, which is exam 1, exam 2, exam 3. Basically, and all the homeworks and whatever it is, right? If that is 90, which has never happened, so but if it happens, the thing is that would be very bad grading. In that case, see, by the way, my field, in addition to being networking, which is what I'm doing, I'm also what we call performance analyst. So I did write a book on something called Art of Performance Analysis. So how to analyze numbers, that's my field, right? So I know that you cannot really give different grades to people who have 90 and 91. You cannot distinguish them, because that's the randomness in the system itself, right? When you get the grades, and many of you actually, I see the faces, have taken some other courses with me, they know that basically we have very clear boundaries between the grades. So if somebody got a B minus, they could not come to me and say, well, look, I could get a B here. There is enough gap. So while your question was right, but that has never happened. Mostly the numbers would be more like going from 45 to 100. Any other question? All right, the textbook is the standard. And I'm sure the bookstore has the book, and you can also order online. And this is 2009 book. This is the same book that we used last time. But make sure that you get the 5th edition. Don't get 4th edition, or don't get anything else. Last year we had some students who got the international edition, and their page numbers were different, their question numbers were different, topics were different. So when I say, okay, submit problem P24, they had some different problems. So please make sure that you get the correct edition, and be careful with the international edition. I'm not against international edition, but make sure it is same as this. Okay, it is recommended that you read the book, read the relevant chapter of the book before coming to the class. So we are going to follow the book chapter by chapter to make it easy for you. If you are smart enough, you might basically read it and then come to the class prepared with questions more than anything else. I didn't understand that. That is not how it works. And so read it, and then you can ask more questions here. And so we will cover some concepts, but we will cover only the key concepts. And we obviously the book, if we cover line by line, we won't be able to do it in one semester. So when we are going to cover all the chapters. And so we will cover all the chapters, we will cover all the key concepts, but there will be a lot of it which we will not cover, and then you will be expected to read that. So make sure that you read the whole chapter. Please ask questions in the next class about any concepts that are not clear to you. And you can ask questions anytime. You can ask questions when we are giving the lecture. You can ask questions in the next class. When you come back, you can say, well, last class we had talked about this and it's not clear to me. And please don't be afraid to ask questions. Because if you ask questions, and here's one thing, I recommend that you ask the question in the class, because when you ask the question in the class, there are 19 other people who had the same question but they didn't dare to ask. They thought it is trivial. Everybody else knows it except them. And that is not true. Everybody has questions, but some people only dare to ask. So please ask. I don't expect that you know everything, because if you knew everything, you won't be coming here. And not everything is trivial that you can just read the book and understand everything. So, feel free to ask anything. There is no such thing as a dumb question. Okay? And that's why I have this 5% marks reserved for asking the questions here in the class. If you come to my office, you can ask questions in my office too, but you don't get any marks for that. Okay? Because that is not class participation. All right? And so you can ask questions either way you want, but basically you get marks for class participation. And this benefits everybody. Okay, now let's see next. Material covered in the class will include some concepts from the other textbooks, so please pay attention to the class lecture. So when I talk about a topic, I just don't use the book alone. I might find some better examples, better ideas, better things from some other place. Right? In that case, I will basically use that in the lecture. So you do have to listen to the lecture here. Prerequisite. So for this course in networking, this is not the first course in computer science. I hope that you have taken something where they taught you about little bit about computers. So you know what is a memory, what is a system bus, what is an interrupt, what is a CPU, and so on and so forth. So all of you must have taken either 131 or 241 or both. Right? Because if you don't know any of these concepts, which are very basic things for computer scientists, then I won't be able to teach you much about the networking part. So networking, this is the second course, not the first course. So what will you learn? I think we have said this, but we'll say it again. What messages are exchanged? What messages and messages are exchanged? Okay, what messages are exchanged when you fetch a web page? So that is what HTTP is all about. When you do HTTP, what we exchange? What messages are used to send and receive emails? How the names such as www.google.com get translated to IP addresses such as 74.125.73.104. Some of you have seen those numbers like that, right? And so why we have the numbers in the first place, and why we have names, and how they get translated. What is done to avoid congestion or overload? What is the path? How the path in the internet determined? What happens if the bits? I think we said most of it before, so it's a duplicate. How Wi-Fi or the Ethernet works? What is the difference between Wi-Fi, Ethernet, IP, and TCP? So all of you have used all of that. All of you have used Wi-Fi. All of you have used Ethernet. All of you have used IP, and all of you have used TCP. But maybe now don't know the difference. So we will teach you that. What is done to handle audio and video on the internet? So how are the audio and video different from data? Right? What is done to, especially, for example, only recently we have started talking on the internet. We have Skype and other phone services on the internet. 5 years ago, it was not possible. What happened? What was done? Similarly, video, YouTube, etc. have just shown up. Why they didn't show up 5 years ago? Internet has been around for 40 years. What was the problem? How can you guarantee security on the internet? So we will also cover security. And actually the course just before this is security course, network security course, which I'm teaching right in the same room. That goes into great detail on network security. But here you will get basic flavor of it. So how do we cover all of this? Well, we go chapter by chapter, and here is the schedule, chapter numbers. Now we will not follow this schedule as shown here. It's just the tentative. This is just a plan. All right, and depending upon how many questions I get, how much discussion we have, we may not be able to get to particular chapter on a particular date, right? And that doesn't really matter. Most important thing is that everybody understands what is being taught, and so getting to that particular date is not very important. However, every 10th class is an exam, so this exam date is fixed. October 3rd, there will be exam. Please write down this in your calendar. Okay, that date will not change. Whether we get to universal datagram, UDP and TCP, that date doesn't matter. Whatever we cover that by that date will be in that exam. Exam date will not change, will not move. Yeah. This is what?
These exams are in class.
They are right here in the exam, yeah. These exams are right here. All right. So the second set is right here. The second exam is on November 7th. It's fixed. And the final exam is on December 7th. Now this is especially important for you to note because this is not in the exam period. This is the last class of the semester that we have the exam. I will be out of the country right after that. So we have the exam on 12/7 and give the grades on 12/8 and 9, and I'll be out. So by the time the exams start, you will be done with this course. All right, and these dates are fixed. The exam dates are fixed. Everything else will move forward and backward, and we will adjust the content to make sure that we cover as much as we can. But the exam date will not change. Yeah.
So the final exam will also be an hour like the others, or will it be?
Everything is 1 hour. Everything is just 1/3. So the final exam will cover whatever was not covered, or whatever was covered after second exam. Everything is 1 hour, and in final exam also you are allowed to take only one piece of. So final exam is not different from the other exams.
The final exam will cover chapter 6 to 9 or cover all the chapters?
Well, whatever. See, basically, if you look at this schedule, this says chapter 6 through 9, right? 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that is what we will cover. But it is quite possible that we might be on chapter 5 here. Who knows on that date, right? So it will cover whatever was.
It will cover what has the exam before, right?
Which has been done after exam 2. So the topic is not fixed. I mean, the dates are not fixed except for this one, the exam dates. Those you really want to put on your calendar so that you don't plan a trip or anything like that, and then basically because there are no other substitute exams. My office hours are 11 to 12 Monday and Wednesday in Bryan 523. My email is on every handout, I think. Yeah, on every handout I have my email, so you know where how to reach me. And we have two. Is Minzy in the room? He is not. We have right now 2 TAs, but we are looking for 2 more, so we'll have 4 TAs. I was planning to use mCLK system for instant quizzes, and I sent you an email, and I'm sure all of you brought your cell phone, but we also tried the same thing in my previous class in the same room. and we found out there is no signal. So, so that system is off. Sorry about that. I was very hopeful about that, but we have developed a second system which is not based upon this, but basically it is based upon the internet. So we are going to try that out, and I'm not sure that will work either. But basically, you need to log on to, not log on to, you need to get to, thank you, appreciate it really. This will come later. So on the website, you go to my website, and then you enter the answer. The reason for this mCLK system was that when we have class participation, when I ask a question, only 1 or 2 people will give the answer. And I don't know what is happening to the other 58 people, whether they know this answer or not, right? The mCLK system allowed me to get all 60 answers for every question that I ask, right? And then I can figure out who is falling behind much before the exam day. Right. On the exam date, we already know that somebody has not really done any studies, but that is like 10 classes later. So my intention was to have more regular answers and questions by asking everybody. So we are developing. So we have done a web page, and it's still not done ready for today. But maybe next class we will introduce that web page, and we will try it out and see if you can get the internet signal here or not. Now, internet signal. Talking of the internet signal. If you have a cell phone, you can get internet signal on many cell phones, on the smartphones at least nowadays. For example, I don't have a telephone signal, but I have wireless signal, and you can connect to Wi-Fi as a guest system on this one. And if you have that, then that is sufficient for you to answer my questions, and we will try that out in the next class. If you can bring your laptop too, and the laptops have both positive and negative aspects. When I see a person behind a laptop, I am not sure whether they are in this room or on the Facebook, right? And so that's a negative aspect. If it becomes a problem, we will stop this whole interaction business and do the old way of raising hands and asking questions and sampling. But let's try this. Next time we will try with the internet access, and that means either bringing a laptop or a smartphone and see if it works. If it becomes too much, because I can see then power problem and other problems. There is a power here actually. See, so that's good. Anyway, so we'll see that next time. So I'm going to skip this whole mCLK system because does anybody have a signal here? You have? Which company do you?
They did upgrades with Sprint, so Sprint gets signal a lot of places now, but other carriers still don't.
So we WUSTL signed up with Sprint?
We were able to talk to them, and they were able to boost signal on our campus.
Right. So no AT&T, no Verizon, right? You have signal?
I connect the just
No, but by wireless or by bar? You have some bar? Wi-Fi we have.
Yeah. Oh, Signal I have just one bar.
You have one bar. I have 0 bar. I have AT&T, it says no service. So here the thing, if you have, we can still try mCLK next time. If you have the signal, then you don't need to bring a laptop all the way. I was very hopeful of this, and actually the department wanted to use the clicker, so they bought 30 clickers. So this thing works without the cell phone. Basically, we can each hand out to you something, a remote control like thing where you click the answer. But I thought that was too much, so I was trying this. But this doesn't work because of the cell phone, unless you have a Sprint customer. So we will probably not be using that. Okay. That brings us to the end of this particular part.